For years, nonprofits have run on digital sticky notes. But as your mission grows, these simplistic boards bend under the weight of complex operations. Trello was an excellent entry point. It gave lean teams a friendly, highly visual way to coordinate tasks when operations first moved online. But eventually, organizations hit a ceiling. When you start managing multi-year grants, thousands of volunteers, and rigid compliance standards, a flat card-based system fails to show how everything connects. We call this the visibility gap. Because your campaigns, your volunteer rosters, and finances live in isolated silos, your team spends hours manually hunting down cross-departmental updates. This creates an endless loop of administrative busywork that disrupts strategic execution. This matrix compares basic boards to advanced platforms. While simple boards use manual tagging, enterprise systems natively sequence work. An approved grant immediately triggers the next review phase. These platforms also tie daily checklists directly to high-level targets. Transitioning to these systems allows leadership to see real-time capacity across every department. This visibility makes it possible to identify team bottlenecks before they impact mission delivery, while keeping executive stakeholders fully informed. When evaluating a new platform, you are making a specific strategic trade-off. Do you need execution-first agility to keep your staff moving, or database-first flexibility to track deep, interconnected records? This quadrant chart maps software options based on this exact trade-off. The x-axis measures initial friction, how much technical knowledge it takes to deploy. The y-axis tracks cross-functional governance, showing how well platforms handle multi-departmental operations. If you choose a platform that demands deep architectural skills, but your team only needs simple task tracking, you will trigger massive tool fatigue. Instead of scaling your work, the software will parallel it. Let's look at the work execution category. Tools like Asana and Monday.com are built for mid-size organizations that require tight cross-functional alignment. Asana's core architectural advantage is a feature called multi-homing. A single grant application task can live in the legal review project, the fundraising board, and the executive update view simultaneously. No copy-pasting or duplicated data required. Monday.com takes a different approach. Instead of a rigid task structure, it acts as a blank slate work operating system driven by custom automation recipes. You can configure its visual boards to perfectly match your specific internal processes, turning it into a lightweight CRM to track individual donor cultivation pipelines. But that sheer flexibility demands a trade-off. Without disciplined internal guidelines, a blank slate system can quickly become a chaotic mess as your team scales. These execution-first tools excel at breaking down communication silos and driving daily action. However, if your primary need is tracking highly complex, interconnected grant data, their underlying architecture will fall short. That brings us to the database-first environments, which cater specifically to data-heavy or documentation-centric nonprofits. Airtable's primary advantage is its use of relational links to connect entirely separate datasets. If a volunteer's availability changes, you update their profile once, and that new data instantly cascades into every project, shift schedule, and emergency log they are attached to. It handles massive volumes of interconnected data flawlessly. The catch is that you have to build your own project management logic from scratch. Notion offers a different solution. It functions as an integrated workspace, serving as your organization's single source of truth for documentation. It allows you to embed active task boards directly alongside heavy text assets, like 50-page grant narratives and complex standard operating procedures. It struggles, however, with strict accountability. It lacks the built-in warning alerts and rigid task sequencing inherent to traditional execution platforms. A database-first setup provides the technical structure needed for multi-year grant reporting. You simply need to assign an internal architect to maintain the integrity of those connections. If you are operating a grassroots team with a zero-budget mandate and a high volume of temporary volunteers, you need a different class of tools. ClickUp uses a deep folder hierarchy to consolidate multi-year grant cycles, budgeting formulas, and daily tasks into a single unified application. But its major trade-off is feature sprawl. To avoid overwhelming your staff, your administrators must actively disable unused modules to reduce cognitive load. For maximum accessibility, Platforms like Placky and Freedcamp offer generous free tiers with unlimited users, completely removing the cost barrier of managing massive volunteer pools. Zero-budget platforms provide incredible access for lean teams. You simply accept the trade-off of forfeiting enterprise-grade AI risk prediction and advanced third-party integrations. Regardless of the platform you select, it must communicate with your specialized donor software. Cultivating donors requires a specific series of operational steps, known as moves management. By integrating tools via Zapier, a donation triggers a workflow, assigning a personal board call. A project management system isolated from your constituent data is a strategic liability that guarantees missed stewardship opportunities. This decision tree shows how your primary operational bottleneck should dictate your final software choice. If your mid to large team struggles with cross-functional alignment, adopt the structured execution of Asana or Monday.com. If you are drowning in complex, interconnected datasets spanning multiple grant portfolios, utilize a database-first engine like Airtable. And if you are a grassroots team coordinating massive volunteer pools with tight finances, rely on the zero-budget scaling of Placky or ClickUp's free tier. Before you migrate, verify your 501c3 status through intermediaries like TechSoup or Goodstack. These platforms offer 50 to 70% discounts that drastically change your return on investment. Implementing the correct digital environment strips away the administrative friction dragging your team down, letting you reallocate your human capital straight back to your mission.